Discover the incredible journey of the Ice King. 30 days to transform his life forever. Jake Hargrove stood in the empty ice rink, the chilling air clinging to his skin like an old friend. As a kid, he had skated here, dreams of the NHL lighting up his eyes. Now, at 35, he swept up dust and spilled popcorn, wearing the faded beige uniform of a janitor. The clang of skates against ice haunted him, echoing memories of a time when the rink was filled with laughter and hope. Every stroke of his mop felt heavier, laden with the weight of unfulfilled dreams and family disappointment. His parents had believed in him, but he had let them down. The silence that hung between them now felt like a brick wall. His brother, Danny, barely acknowledged his existence anymore, a chasm of hurt and resentment forged by years of failed expectations. And yet, the community was rallying around the rink, organizing a month-long fundraising tournament to keep it alive, to reclaim the joy that had vanished. "Hey, why don't you coach a kids' team?" his old friend Mike suggested at the meeting. The collective murmur of the room hit him like a slap. "Coach?" He gripped the table, a dozen eyes watching, waiting for his answer. They saw the former hockey star a washed-up dreamer, according to some. And yet, Jake's heart raced at the thought, a flicker of passion igniting within him. His niece, Lily, was among the kids, wide-eyed and full of unjudged hope. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference." Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. Jake found himself standing in front of a gaggle of kids on the first day of practice, nervous and excited. Each kid had dreams, fears, and goals. As they stumbled and laughed on the ice, something inside Jake began to thaw. He poured all his energy into teaching them how to skate, how to work together just like he once dreamed of doing. With every shout of encouragement, every smile, he started to believe in something again. But those old demons lurked, doubts clawing at him whenever he saw the elite parents whisper behind his back. "Why is he coaching? He couldn't even make it to the pros," one mother said, her voice laced with disdain. It stung, but those kids reminded him why he had stepped up. With every sidestep they took, he remembered the brightness that hockey had brought to his life, the laughter of teammates, the thrill of victory. As game day drew closer, the air crackled with anxiety and excitement. The rink stood like a beacon of hope, waving from the frigid shadows. In the back of his mind, Jake knew he had a hard path ahead, one filled with regrets and emotional barriers. He could see his brother in the crowd, the tight family not still there, yet frayed. This was it. The tournament could change everything, could maybe even heal old wounds. Or would it reinforce the stigma of who he had become? With every practice, the kids gave their all. Jake realized that it wasn't about winning a trophy. It was about the journey, the heart they poured into every pass, every shot. But could he reconcile with his family, take the next step to bring them back into his life? Time ticked away, and as the first match approached, Jake felt the weight of reconciliation and the chance to reclaim who he truly was, hanging in the balance. The tournament day finally arrived, cloaked in a crisp morning wrapped in the scent of fresh ice and popcorn. Jake stood behind the bench, heart racing as the kids skated around the rink for warm-ups. His niece, Lily, glided with a confidence he hadn't seen before. For a moment, everything else faded away. It was just him, the kids, and the gleaming ice. As the stands began to fill with families, Jake's trepidation danced with excitement. The familiar faces of the community mingled with parents he'd once respected. They all seemed to whisper, although he couldn't make out their words over the blaring music. He glanced at the other coaches, people who had never once believed in him, and felt a tightening in his chest. Would they ever see him as more than a failure? "Coach, can we do the cheer?" A little boy with big glasses and an apprehensive smile broke through Jake's thoughts. "Sure, let us do it." Jake rallied the team. He clapped his hands, and they quickly gathered around him. On three. Let us go, icicles. Their youthful voices echoed across the rink. It was contagious. For the first time in years, Jake felt himself smile, a genuine smile that mirrored the light in their eyes. When the whistle blew, marking the start of the game, adrenaline surged through him. The kids skated with fervor, and as the game unfolded, a moment of magic happened. They played not merely as individuals, but as a tight-knit team, laughing and encouraging one another, just as he had pictured. Every time the puck moved toward their opponent's goal, the collective hope of the kids pulsed through him. From the bleachers, Jake caught sight of his brother, Danny. He couldn't read his expression, but there was something different, an ember of interest igniting in those familiar eyes. Hovering on the edge of his seat, Danny was not just watching, he was engaging. This barely perceptible change ignited a flicker of hope in Jake's heart. Maybe there was a way to bridge that fractured relationship, but as the game progressed, a sense of foreboding crept back in. Jake saw Lily struggle to get the puck past the overzealous goalie on the opposing team. Every time she missed, he felt her disappointment like a punch to the gut. Jake called out to her from the bench, urging her to keep trying, to remember how hard she worked in practice. Then came the moment that shattered everything, a hard collision on the ice. One of the opposing players barreled into Lily, sending her sprawling. She lay there on the ice, and the world seemed to stop. Jake's heart dropped. He sprinted onto the rink, pushing aside the skepticism camping out in his mind. "Lily!" he shouted, kneeling beside her. Her face reflected disbelief and pain. He took a deep breath, fighting back the rush of memories, his own falls, the bruises he had endured as a child. "Lily, just breathe. You're okay.
Can you stand up?"
As she looked up at him, something shifted. The ice around them lost its intimidation, and warmth began to seep through the chilly air. It wasn't just about that game anymore. This moment was a chance to connect, to show her that falling was part of the journey. Jake held out a hand, and after a few shaky seconds, Lily grabbed it. She rose to her skates, her determination shining brighter than the rink lights. The crowd erupted in cheers. Family, neighbors, and the community believed in them all at once. And somewhere among their cheers, Jake realized that this was his moment. Not just as a coach or a failed brother, but as a person still learning how to forgive himself. With renewed vigor, he turned toward Danny, searching for a flicker of support. But he felt the weight of the tournament shift from competition to connection. As the kids rallied around, he knew something deeper was brewing. Was this the start of healing, or just a flash in the pan? Only time would tell. As the buzzer echoed through the rink, signaling the game's end, Jake wondered if facing old wounds might lead them in a new direction. Would Jake finally take a courageous step toward his brother? The outcome of the tournament felt secondary to the real game unfolding in his heart. The cheers from the stands roared as Jake helped Lily to her feet. The adrenaline from the game mingled with the relief swelling in his chest. She was okay. That small victory illuminated a truth he wanted to face. They were all in this together. Every child on the ice, every adult in the stands, he belonged to this community more than he had admitted. As the game continued, the vibrant energy surged through the rink. Jake returned to his position, clapping and directing the kids, his eyes never leaving the ice. Each glide, each pass, and every cheer sent new life through him. Danny's lingering gaze from the stands urged Jake to be braver, to step out of the shadows of self-doubt. With seconds left on the clock, the Icicles had tied the game. The excitement was palpable. As the puck sailed into the opposing goal, the crowd erupted. Jake felt his heart swell, the joy and pride reflecting in the glimmering eyes of the children. They had done it together. But as the celebration filled the air, laughter mingling with shouts, Jake felt a weight pressing down on him. He knew the game had given him a glimpse of hope, yet his insecurities lingered like shadows nipping at his heels. In that moment of triumph, he couldn't ignore the slivers of doubt that whispered he was still that boy seeking approval, still haunted by the whispers of those who deemed him unworthy.
"Coach,"
Lily's voice cut through his thoughts as she skated over, her cheeks flushed with excitement.
We did it! We did it!
Her joy was infectious. And you played amazing out there, he replied, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. Lily beamed up at him, the sparkle in her eyes igniting something deep within Jake. She needed him not just on the ice but as a role model and a guiding light. What had he allowed himself to become? As the handshakes began post-game, a sign of sportsmanship, he always valued Jake, caught sight of Danny again. The way his brother watched sent Jake's heart racing. Would he reach out? Would he finally open that door they had both kept shut for so long? Hey, coach, called out another player, snapping Jake from his trance. What's next?
Next?
Jake paused, the challenge hanging in the air. Next, we keep practicing. We learn from today, and we celebrate this moment. The kids cheered, but his eyes wandered back to his brother, who was now standing up, making his way toward the ice. Jake's pulse quickened. Jake, Danny's voice broke through the crowd noise as he approached, an uncharacteristic ease in his stance.
Can we talk?
Something shifted in the air. Jake locked his gaze with Danny's, 1,000 unspoken words flying between them. He opened his mouth, readiness battling anxiety within him. Yeah, Jake said, the single word heavier than it ought to be. The celebration continued around them, the cheers echoing like a distant background tune, but for Jake, the real game was just beginning. Jake glanced over at the jubilant chaos of the rink, but his heart was locked on his brother. With each step Danny took, Jake could feel the tension coiling in his gut. They had spent years navigating around the weight of their past. Now, the time had come to confront it or risk drifting apart forever. The two found a quiet corner, away from the noise of celebration. It was a space cluttered with the memories of their childhood, echoes of laughter mingling with the sounds of skates scraping against ice. Jake leaned against the boards, crossing his arms tightly, protecting himself from the storm he felt brewing. Danny looked at him, his expression betraying a cocktail of nerves and determination. I wanted to talk about everything, he said, struggling to find the words. Like what? Jake asked, his voice barely above a whisper. He knew it was time to be brave, yet each word felt like a weight hovering over his chest.
Us.
Our childhood. The choices we made, the way we drifted apart, Danny said, taking a deep breath, his eyes searching Jake's for understanding. I've missed you. Those words cut through Jake's defenses. It was as if a dam had burst, releasing everything that had been pent up for years. I missed you too, he admitted, his voice cracking. But it felt like you didn't want me around after everything happened. I didn't know how to fix it. Danny's frustration spilled out, mingling with regret. I thought if I distanced myself, it'd help. I didn't realize it only hurt us more. Jake's heart ached at those words. It felt like an emotional slap, bringing up moments he had buried deep. They'd grown up side by side, forged inseparable friendships, but the fallout from their past had pushed them into separate worlds. I always wanted us to be close again, but I was scared, Jake confessed. Scared you wouldn't want me back. What if I told you I never wanted us to drift apart? Danny's voice was low, the sincerity clear in his eyes. Can we start fresh? Let us figure this out together. Jake inhaled deeply, considering the weight of his brother's proposition. The idea of a fresh start felt so foreign, yet exhilarating. Could they finally heal the scars? Could they reclaim their bond? It was a leap of faith, but perhaps one worth taking. Yeah, I want that, Jake finally said, feeling a flicker of hope as he spoke. Really? Danny's face lit up with surprise, and for the first time in years, Jake felt the burden on his chest lighten.
Yeah.
But it's going to take time, Jake cautioned. We need to be honest with each other, really honest. Agreed, Danny said with a nod, a genuine smile now breaking through. I'm all in. Let us work through this. They stood there for a moment, the aura thick with unspoken promises. Around them, the noise of the rink faded away, replaced by a new sense of clarity and purpose. Just then, a stray puck skidded across the ice and bumped against Jake's leg. He chuckled, shaking off the moment's seriousness. What if we start facing things instead of letting them roll over us?
He suggested.
That's the spirit, Danny replied, the humor warming them both. After all, we do make a pretty good team. As they left their corner, walking back into the warmth of the celebration, Jake couldn't shake the feeling of newfound connection. He had stepped into the light, a path forward finally visible. Their challenge lay not just in facing the past, but in how to build a stronger future. Jake glanced at Danny, a grin forming on his face. So, next practice, how about we both try some new moves? Bold ones?
Bold?
I'm totally up for that. Danny laughed, their exchange suddenly feeling like the old days, but only thicker with meaning, and as they rejoined the noise of their team, Jake couldn't help but feel that the real game was just beginning, one richer, deeper, and full of hope. But just as they embraced the buzz of joy around them, Jake overheard a whisper from the crowd that sent a chill racing down his spine.
Did you hear?
There's talk of a serious challenge coming for the Icicles. What was looming? And would their new beginning withstand the storm? The laughter and shouts around the rink faded into background noise for Jake as his mind began to race. A serious challenge? The Icicles were known for their strong spirit on the ice, but this felt different, like clouds gathering before a storm. He felt a pang of anxiety, wondering if this could threaten the fragile thread of connection he was just starting to rebuild with Danny. Danny, noticing Jake's distant gaze, nudged him playfully. You good? We just made a breakthrough here. Jake forced a smile, hoping to mask the tension coiling within. Yeah, just thinking about that challenge. Oh, come on. We've faced tougher teams than them. Whatever's coming, we'll handle it, Danny declared, his tone resolute, a spark igniting in his eyes. Jake wished he shared that confidence. The thought of exposing himself and Danny after everything to a struggle deeper than the ice they skated on felt daunting. But in that moment, Danny's optimism was contagious. You're right. We've got each other. Exactly, Danny beamed, slapping a hand on Jake's shoulder. Let us prepare for whatever's ahead. Together. As the evening wore on, Jake found himself swept up in the joy of the moment. His teammates crowded around the central area of the rink, warm chatter and laughter filling the space. It felt like family, a sense of belonging that was elusive for so long. That's when Jake noticed a figure lingering at the edge of the celebration. It was Lexi, one of the team's newer members. She stood apart, her eyes focused intently on the group, hesitation evident in her posture. There was something about her, an air of intensity that intrigued him. As he contemplated whether to approach her, Danny nudged him again. Hey, I think she needs some positive vibes. Go say hi, Ice King. Jake hesitated.
What would I say?
Just be yourself. You have a way of making people feel welcome, Danny said, pushing him gently toward Lexi. Feeling a mix of nerves and encouragement, Jake took a deep breath and patted over. Hey, Lexi. You enjoying the party? She turned, startled, but then smiled faintly. It's nice. Our team is something else. Her voice trailed off, eyes darting back to the group. Yeah, they know how to have fun, Jake said, trying to keep it light. You're fitting in great. We could use your energy. Lexi's eyebrow arched a bit. I hope so. Just sometimes feels like I'm still on the outside looking in. He felt that familiar pang, the isolation that can creep in even in the nearest of circles. I know how that feels. But we're all in this together now. Lexi met his gaze, something shifting in her expression. Thanks, Jake. That actually helps. They exchanged smiles, and in that moment, Jake realized that connection was organic, a ripple effect. He was confronting his past with Danny, and now he had a chance to create a new relationship with Lexi. However, just as he began to feel lighter, the rink lights flickered suddenly, plunging them into a brief darkness. Murmurs swept through the crowd, tension hanging thick in the air once more.
What was that?
Lexi glanced around, her pulse quickening. Jake felt his heart start to race again. Maybe just a glitch or a sign, he suggested, but dread began to claw its way back in. The looming challenge, threats tightening around them. What was happening? As the light stabilized and laughter picked up again, Jake glanced back at Danny. He caught his brother's gaze, both of them unsure, yet fortified by their new promise. "Whatever that challenge is, we face it," Jake remarked, more for himself than anyone else. Lexi nodded, the fire in her eyes igniting once more. "Together?" "Together," Jake affirmed, feeling that camaraderie wrap around them. Just then, from across the rink, a loud voice cut in, echoing the initial whisper they'd heard. "Next game will determine the champions, but it will take real strength to get there." Jake's heart pounded. Could they truly be ready? Little did they know, new revelations awaited, twisting the threads of their past into newfound destinies. Jake felt the weight of the future settle onto his shoulders. But one thing was certain: this road would not be walked alone. What would the challenge reveal, and would they be broken or stronger when the dust settled? Jake felt the air grow colder as those words echoed around the rink. The challenge loomed, a dark cloud threatening to unleash uncertainty on their budding bonds. He cast a glance at Danny, who seemed unfazed, eyes locked on the other players, a mischievous grin creeping back. The contrast was stark. While Jake was wrestling with doubts, Danny embraced the thrill of competition. "Remember, every challenge brings a chance for growth," Danny recalled, nudging Jake again with playful force. "Besides, we've trained hard for this. We're ready." Jake chuckled softly, trying to shake off his anxiety. When had he started doubting himself? The past few weeks had just reminded him of the importance of unity, of fighting together instead of against one another. But the stakes felt higher now, and his focus shifted back to Lexi. "Lexi," he started, "you're really a part of this team now. Let us show them what we've got." Lexi nodded, determination seeping into her features. "We can't hold back."
Not now.
As the party resumed, Jake felt a surge of energy. The flicker of doubt that had crept in was fading, replaced by a collective determination. They were a unit, no longer fragmented. Faces from every corner of the rink gathered around, laughter mingling with a bubbling excitement. "Who's joining for some training tomorrow morning?" shouted Mark from the corner, clapping his hands to rally everyone. "We need all hands on deck." Jake saw each teammate's face light up, their spirits bolstered by the challenge. They were ready to fight, not just for the game, but for the connections they had forged, a camaraderie that had the power to lift them beyond individual struggles. "I'll be there," shouted Danny without hesitation. "Let us kick their butts." The crowd responded with laughter and cheers, a chorus of enthusiasm. Jake felt a warmth fill his chest. They were ready. It was going to be hard work, late nights, and drills, but the taste of victory together would be sweeter than any individual achievement. As the night wore on, the music played louder, and the rink lit up with a magical glow. Underneath the swirling chaos of laughter and clinks of soda cans, Jake found himself standing beside Danny and Lexi, sharing stories and bonding over shared dreams. "Why don't we bring some new moves to the next game?" Lexi suggested, a mischievous glint in her eyes. "Like what? Maybe a dare to ice dance move?" Danny quipped, and a round of laughter ensued. Jake smiled, grateful for the moment. The joy of the night was infectious. But just when comfort settled in, a familiar face broke through the crowd: Brett, their main rival from the Icicles. Jake felt tension twist in his gut. "Look who decided to stop by," he heard Brett say, smirking. "Hope you're ready for the heat. You'll need it." His words dripped with condescension. Jake turned, ready to retort, but found Danny stepping forward, protecting their bond without even knowing it. "We'll show you how it's done." Danny shot back, fierce confidence backing his tone. Brett's grin faltered for just a second before he stepped back, but Jake felt the weight of challenge drop heavy on his shoulders once again. The whispers of doubt echoed. What if they weren't ready? What if everything they had worked for crumbled under the pressure? As the night came to a close and Jake stepped back to the edge of the celebration, he felt a mix of determination and apprehension. Could they truly rise to meet this challenge? He looked around, meeting Lexi's resolute gaze and Danny's burning spirit. Together they had found strength in vulnerability, but reality had a way of shattering illusions with a swift stroke. With the sound of laughter fading into the distance, Jake knew it would take more than just practice and talk to face the looming fire. Could their unity withstand the storm? In his heart, he hoped it would, but what would it ultimately cost them? Morning light streamed into the rink, illuminating the ice like diamonds scattered across a vast ocean. Jake could hear the soft sound of skates gliding against the surface, echoes of laughter bouncing off the walls as his teammates arrived for practice. He took a deep breath, determined to shake off the remnants of the previous night's doubts.
Today was about action.
"Let us hit the rink," Danny called out, his voice grating through Jake's concentration. The enthusiasm in Danny's tone was infectious, spreading like wildfire among the group. Jake felt it too, a bubbling energy that pushed away uncertainty. They gathered in a loose circle, and Jake stepped into the center, heart beating faster, pumping adrenaline through his veins. "Okay, everyone, today we're going to work on our teamwork. Let's build on what we've been practicing. We can't just rely on our skills. We need to move as one." Kaylee raised her eyebrow, clearly skeptical. "What if we lose our individual flair? Isn't that what we're known for?" Lexi, standing beside Kaylee, nodded in agreement, her expression looking for validation. "Yeah, I mean, wouldn't it make us less unpredictable?" Jake understood their concern, but he held firm. "Individual flair is great, but when the pressure's on, we need to know we can trust one another completely. It's about merging our strengths. We need to learn to anticipate each other's moves, almost like we're reading each other's minds." As they began their drills, Jake felt a surge of determination. They worked through passes and formations, and with each cycle, their spirits soared higher. The exhilaration of the ice pushed their training to new heights. When they executed a fluid pass, followed by a perfectly timed shot on goal, the rink erupted in cheers. Amid the hustle, Jake caught a glimpse of Lexi, her face flushed with excitement as she landed a tricky maneuver. That spark lit something in him. "That's the spirit," he shouted, and she beamed back, her confidence spiking. With practice nearing its end, tension filled the air once again. Jake could feel that unease creeping back, the shadow of Brett lurking in the back of his mind. They were just about to break for water when he noticed Danny pulling Mark aside for a quick huddle. Curiosity stirred in Jake. He finished his lap and drifted closer, overhearing snippets of their conversation. "If we can get them on their heels, we'll have them eating our dust," Danny said, confidence rolling off him like waves. Mark chuckled, the laughter mingling with the excitement building around them. Jake's heart thumped. Was Danny focusing too heavily on the competition? Wasn't this practice supposed to help unify them? Before he could step in, Lexi sidled up next to him. "Hey, is everything okay?" she asked, concern coloring her voice. "Yeah, I hope everyone remembers we're a team."
I don't want to lose sight of that.
She nodded, placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "We won. It's all about balancing our skills. Trust each other." Moments later, the squad gathered for a brief huddle, and Jake took a breath, sharing his unease with them. "Remember, we're in this together. Let's keep that lighthearted spirit as we face the icicles. If we win, it's because we all stepped up together." The team rallied around him, a chorus of affirmations right before they took to the ice for one final round. Each pass, each play felt electric, the thrill shared burrowing deeper into their hearts. But as they wrapped up, Jake's stomach twisted again. Could they truly last as a cohesive unit when the real test came? Just then, the sound of skates echoed down the hall. Footsteps approached, heavy and deliberate. The door swung open, and there stood Brett, flanked by a couple of his teammates. His smirk was back, and tension crackled in the air. "Hope you've been training hard." "You're going to need it," Brett taunted, his voice dripping with arrogance. Jake felt the fire rise within him. They were ready, or at least he hoped so. He spoke up, trying to project confidence he didn't fully feel. "We're not afraid of you."
But
was that true? The thought flickered, weighing heavily in the back of his mind as Brett's laughter filled the rink. Would their bond be enough when it counted, or would the looming storm break them apart? Jake turned to his teammates, searching their faces for hope, for reassurance. In that moment, He knew the next steps required more than just practice. They needed to find their strength, their unity in the face of real threat. And as Brett took a step closer, the intensity of the challenge loomed larger than ever. What truly lay ahead for them? Jake's heart raced as Brett advanced, his laughter echoing in the expansive rink. It felt like the warmth of the ice was fading beneath him, replaced by a chill that clawed at the back of his thoughts. He could see every mischievous smirk, every taunting glance exchanged between Brett and his friends. "Don't let him get to you," Lexi whispered beside him, a calm in the raging storm. Yet, Jake could feel the weight of doubt sinking in. He turned to his teammates, trying to read their expressions. Kaylee was biting her lip, while Danny clenched his fist, the fire to fight igniting in each of them, but uncertainty lingered. "Let us just go," Brett sneered, glancing back over his shoulder at his crew. "We wouldn't want to waste our time with this bunch." As he turned to leave, a surge of anger rose in Jake. "We're not back downing. Not now," he shouted, his voice breaking through the tension like a spear through silk. Brett paused, an eyebrow raised in mock surprise. "What was that? You actually think you can take us on?" With every word, Jake felt the collective breath of his team held tight, ready for something to snap. "Yes," he declared, a little louder this time. "We're not just here for practice. We've worked hard, and we're ready to face whoever comes our way. Just you watch." The team crouched closer together, forming a wall of support. Danny finally spoke up. "If you think weakness is in our hearts, you're sorely mistaken, Brett. It's time someone taught you that confidence without skill is just empty bravado." Brett hesitated, the surprise flickering in his eyes replaced with frustration. "Cute speech, but words won to you in games," he shot back, an edge to his proclamation. Before Jake could step in again, Kaylee broke from the huddle, stepping defiantly forward. And actions speak louder than words. The determination in her voice surged like a wave crashing upon shore, reverberating against their surroundings. "We plan to outplay you on every level. Are you ready for that?" The challenge hung in the air, thick with tension, but Jake could feel their unity strengthening as Brett's smirk faltered slightly. "You think you can surprise us? Just wait." With that, he turned to leave but shot a glance back over his shoulder. "Good luck, we'll see you on the ice." As the door swung shut behind them, Jake felt a rush of adrenaline pulse through him. "Did you see that?" he exclaimed, the shock of bravery from their confrontation lighting a spark within.
"We stood up to them."
That felt incredible. A chorus of agreement erupted, faces stretching into grins, transforming the previous uncertainty into a thread of shared strength. "Let us keep that momentum going," Jake urged, feeling the fire inside him intensify. "Tomorrow, let us channel all of this into our practice." With renewed focus, they laced their skates tighter, sliding back onto the ice. They moved with purpose, the drumming of their skates synchronized as if in answer to their collective heartbeat. Lexi took the lead for a moment, spinning effortlessly before transitioning into a technique Jake had seen her perfect. Her enthusiasm was contagious, and the energy shifted again, lifting their spirits even higher. The rest followed, each of them pushing past their limits, drawing closer as they practiced. But in the back of his mind, Jake couldn't shake the warning that flickered with every turn he took. The prospect of the game against Brett and his crew loomed, heavy and daunting. As they emerged from their hour of practice, breathless but charged, a thought gnawed at him. Would they really be able to channel all this energy into a victory, or would that storm they saw coming finally break them apart? Just then, a familiar figure appeared at the edge of the rink, a coach they hadn't seen in weeks, carrying an air of authority.
"Jake."
"Team," he hollered, his voice carrying across the ice. "We need to talk about tomorrow's big game." Jake felt his stomach drop. What was coming? Would their bond hold up, or would they face a challenge greater than any they'd encountered before? The questions hung heavily in the air, and his heart raced once more, anticipating what lay ahead. Jake's heart was thumping against his chest as he skated to the edge of the rink. The coach's presence sent a jolt of urgency through the team. What could it be? The usual pregame talk? Or something deeper? Gather around. The coach called, and the line of teammates moved closer, instinctively forming a tight-knit circle. The ice felt solid beneath them, a stark contrast to the tremors of uncertainty swirling within Jake. Tomorrow's game isn't just any match, the coach began, his voice steady but carrying an undercurrent of intensity. It's our chance to show everyone what we're made of, but that means we need to be more than just a team. We have to become a unit, a family. The word family echoed off the rink walls, settling into Jake's mind. He exchanged glances with Lexi, Danny, and Kaylee. They all understood. This was about more than winning. It was about proving to themselves that their bond could face anything, even Brett's arrogance. The coach continued, pacing before them. You've shown strength today. I'm proud of you. But remember, Brett and his crew have been playing together longer than you have. They know each other's moves, their weaknesses. You'll need to anticipate what they'll do before they even think about it. Jake chewed on that thought. Could the team really pull it together in such a short time? What if their practice wasn't enough? It felt like they were racing against time, against doubt, against everything. Let's break down your plays, the coach instructed, pulling out a whiteboard. Every attack, every defense needs to be rehearsed like a dance. We rise together or fall apart. Are you with me? Yes. They responded in unison, the roar enveloping the rink. Jake felt the energy pulse through the group, their collective heartbeat pounding like the drums of war. They huddled closer as the coach called out formations and strategies. Tension coiled around them, but so did determination. Each name of plays turned their uncertainty into something solid, a roadmap to victory. As they practiced the formations on the ice, Jake could see the spark igniting in his teammates' eyes. They were focused and ready to learn, each turn becoming more assured. Time slipped away, and when they finally rested after what felt like hours of practice, Jake was panting heavily, but also grinning. Adrenaline coursed through him, and he felt stronger than before. Tomorrow, we take it to them, Danny said, his voice steady, confidence radiating from him. We're not just going to compete, we're going to conquer. Jake nodded, but a lingering doubt scratched at the back of his mind. They had their formations, their strategies, but would it be enough to truly stand up against Brett's crew? As they skated off the ice, Jake looked back at the rink, his heart racing with a mixture of hope and anxiety. What if they faltered? What if the pressure pushed them apart instead of pulling them together? Lexi walked next to him, her expression thoughtful. We've got to believe in ourselves and in each other. That's how we'll win. Could belief be enough? The thoughts settled heavily on his shoulders as they left the rink. The night loomed ahead, filled with rest, but also with a looming, nerve-wracking anticipation. Just as they approached the parking lot, a sudden shout broke through the night air.
Hey, Jake.
Turning, he saw Brett leaning casually against his car, that familiar mocking smile plastered on his face. Think you're ready? Good luck tomorrow, you're gonna need it. With those words hanging in the tension-filled night, Jake's heart sank further. Tomorrow was the game that could make or break them, and now Brett had set the stage for their ultimate challenge. Could they really rise to the occasion and prove themselves? Or would the day end in disappointment? The answers felt just out of reach, and that uncertainty loomed like a shadow over their dreams. The day of the big game dawned bright and clear, the sun shining like a golden spotlight on the ice rink. As Jake stood in the locker room, glancing at his teammates, he felt a mix of exhilaration and trepidation. The weight of expectations hung heavy in the air. He remembered how far they had come and how tightly knitted they had become. The notion of family echoed in his heart, a reminder of the bond he was slowly rebuilding with Danny and the new connections he was forging with Lexi and the rest of the team. Okay, team. This is our moment, Jake shouted, clapping his hands together. The eager faces around him sparked a fire. No matter the outcome, we work together and play with our hearts. Let's do this for all of us. Together, they echoed, their unity resembling a powerful wave. As they stepped onto the ice, the arena erupted with cheers. The stands pulsated with families, friends, and familiar faces from the community, all there to support the Icicles. Looking up, Jake spotted Lily waving excitedly, her face beaming with pride. In that moment, he felt an overwhelming surge of determination. This wasn't just a game, it was the chance to show everyone that they had learned, grown, and transformed. The opening whistle blew, and as the puck dropped, adrenaline surged through Jake. The game began with fierce energy, icy skates gliding, pucks flying, and voices shouting. Jake felt every heartbeat in sync with his team. They practiced hard, relied on each other, and it began to show. But the Icicles faced an uphill battle. Brett and his crew were relentless, demonstrating skills honed over countless matches. They quickly scored a goal, and doubt momentarily trickled into Jake's mind, but then he glanced at Danny, who was working hard, playing fiercely. It reminded him of their new commitment to each other.
Stay focused,
He called out, leading them to regroup. They fought back fiercely, with every practice moving through his memory, like a montage of moments filled with laughter, new friendships, and reconciled ties. Suddenly, the puck was rushed toward them, and Jake expertly passed it to Lexi. She maneuvered around an opponent and drove toward the goal. The intensity of the moment filled Jake with pride. She hesitated, shot, and the puck sailed through the air, striking the back of the net. The rink erupted. Cheers thundered like a celebration of hopes met. Jake smiled wide, embracing Lexi as she zipped around the ice, exhilaration radiating from her. Moments later, it was their turn to defend. Navigating the formations they practiced, they communicated silently, anticipating each other's moves. It felt like they were working as one cohesive entity, and together they repelled wave after wave of Brett's offense while forming new connections. Mid-game, the scoreboard tilted in favor of the Icicles, and as the game wore on, they forged ahead. The bond among the teammates transformed their fears into confidence, their nervousness into joy. But late in the final period, disaster struck when Danny was knocked hard into the boards, sending a wave of panic through the team. Jake's heart sank at the sight of his brother crumpled on the ice. He shot out onto the rink, kneeling beside Danny, who was grimacing. "Hey, look at me. You've got this, brother.
Can you get up?"
Danny struggled, his spirit visibly diminished, but the fire in his eyes still flickering. Suddenly, Jake felt an overwhelming sense of purpose. "You know we can do this together. You've always had my back. Now it's my turn." With a painful grunt, Danny pushed himself to stand, clinging to Jake before hoisting himself up on his skates. The crowd erupted in applause, a surge of energy flown through the team once more. As the clock dwindled down, the game became more intense. With every slap of the puck against the sticks and every precision pass, they communicated not just in skill, but in heart, a brotherhood solidified through experience. With less than a minute left, the score was neck and neck. Jake handled the puck, weaving through defenders with fluid motion, recreating the dreams of his youth. Just as he reached the blaring end of the rink, he saw Lily in the stands, her unabashed enthusiasm feeding his resolve. With one final surge, he shot the puck. Time seemed to freeze as it sailed past Brett and slid effortlessly into the goal. The goal horn blared, and for a split second, silence filled the rink. Then came the eruption, the sound of wild celebration crashing over him like a tidal wave. Jake was engulfed by his teammates. They hugged and cheered, the overwhelming joy feeling like a tapestry woven together by renewed hope. Through the throng, he caught Danny's eye, who wore a proud smile, full of newfound respect. As they lifted the trophy, Jake realized the victory was more than winning against Brett. It was about healing relationships, finding purpose through teamwork, and embracing the challenges life throws their way. Jake's heart felt lighter than it had in years. Later, amid the celebration and laughter, Jake turned to Danny. "What do you say about next season?"
Together?
"Together," Danny affirmed, their pact solidified in that joyful moment. As the night carried on, bundled in laughter and warmth, Jake felt a vibrant shift, the transformation tangible in the atmosphere. The Ice King had risen, not just on the rink, but in life, amidst family, passion, and community. And as he stood among friends, he realized this journey was just beginning. You need to subscribe now to our channel to not miss the next exclusive stories, because you deserve to witness these incredible journeys. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Every little thumbs up matters, trust me. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending. I want to hear from you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. True fans like you understand the importance of supporting the channel. Let us spread this joy together.